Hi, and welcome to With PKS You Can. My name is Fabio, and in these sessions we will show you how we can make your life easier with Pivotal Container Service when it comes to using Kubernetes. In this session, we will focus on persistent storage for Kubernetes. Let's get started. So let's start. As usual, I have my Kubernetes cluster built by PKS. In this case, I have a 3 nodes cluster. And on this cluster, I have already deployed an application. If I do a kube control get all, I will see my application, which is composed of 4 deployments with 2 databases, an app server, and a UI. And this application is already published externally with the load balancer. We will touch on that in the next session. And here is my application. My application, I can vote on different restaurants, and my vote will be persistent. And then if I refresh the page, I will see that the web page counter will increase. But my application is built on top of containers, and they are ephemeral in nature. In fact, if I delete the pods containing the data from my application, in this case, them being the DB Yelp and the Redis server, I will see that my data get lost. So all my votes and my page view will get lost. So I proceed and delete the pods. And if I go back to my web page and I refresh it, I will see that the counters will go to 0. So my application is not persistent. I would like some persistence here. So here comes the persistent storage managed by Pivotal Container Service. So I will create a storage class, which is essentially a definition of a big storage pool that I may use. In this case, it's a specific one because it's a storage class built on top of vSphere, so it will use vSphere volumes, and it will be thin in this case. And then on top of the storage class, I will see a persistent volume. You can see here that in vSphere I have no volumes, no disks created. Now I will go and take a slice of that storage class using a persistent volume claim. So I will apply a YAML, which is a persistent volume claim. And if you go inside this YAML, you will see that this YAML file defines a persistent volume claim called Redis-leave-claim that takes 2 gigs from the big storage class thin disk. If I go on and describe it, you can see that the volume has been created successfully. Let me type here the right way. And then you can see that it's been built, it's got 2 gig, and it has been created. And if I go back to vCenter and I refresh it, I can see that I have a VMDK here containing my data. And it's thin, it's 24 kilobytes. Now, I will use a small script to see if this VMDK is attached to any VM. So it's really a simple PowerShell script. So I put in the name of my disk, of my VMDK, and then I will launch the script to see if my VMDK is already attached to somewhere. It shouldn't be, because the persistent volume claim is not used. So let's do a find disk, and as you can see, it's empty. So my VMDK is not attached to anything. Now I will deploy a version of the application that uses this persistent volume claim. So the Redis database will use this persistent volume claim to store its own data. So I will deploy a new YAML, and as you can see, everything in the deployment has not changed apart from the Redis server. So if I go into inside this big YAML file, I will show you how you can use that persistent volume claim to back up the data that is needed by Redis. So you can see here, and here you can see that I have a volume mount which uses the Redis-leave-claim as a slash data to store the data for Redis. So right now I have my application running, and if I go back to my application and I put some vote in here, and then I refresh a little bit the pages to increase all the counters, I should see that data now has changed. Okay, this is the same as before, but now I want to kill the pod to see if the data is persisted. So I'll go and see with the right command where are my pods, and then I will kill the pods with Redis and the DB. Boom, here we go. So the pods are being killed, they will be restarted, and if I refresh here my page, I should see that the counter for the vote has gone to 0, but the page view has been persisted. So Redis is storing my page views, and it has been persisted, and even if the thing has restarted, it's there. And if I go and launch my script, I will see that my disk, my VMDK is bound to a VM. And this VM is nothing else than a VM that is one of the workers of my PKS cluster. So if I do the Bosch VM, I can see that my VM starting with -9f is the one that is hosting this. So let's see how that looks like in vCenter. So let's go back to vCenter, search for my VM, here the 9f, and then wait for it to refresh. A little bit slow, my lab is not super healthy these days. So if I go into the disks for this VM, I will see that the 2 gig disk is there, right, the one that I provisioned. So here we go, persistent storage given by PKS in a simple and easy way, immediately viewable from your vCenter interface. Thank you very much, and see you in the next episode of With PKS You Can. Thank you.